If you're still talking in 5 minutes, it's a $5 penalty. Look at that. That shut you up, didn't it? That could be a good thing for you. Okay, so who am I? Most of us don't know, you might have heard of me. I'm Mark Quinn, founder of Challenging Councils New Zealand. I've been travelling New Zealand since 2023. I go to all 78 councils. I have approximately 200 teams working in the 78 councils, and we look to overrun the council in the October election. I'm not politically, and I'm not here to get your vote, but I'm here to iterate. If you want change, it's right behind me. And if we look at these people behind me, you will find that they've all dealt in business. What I found in about 300 plus meetings around New Zealand is that we've been voting for the wrong people. You guys are at fault. No one else. You voted in your friend. You voted in a person you knew. Over the years, no good shaking your head at me, I don't believe it. At the end of the day, they had to get in and someone had to vote for them. But what I have consistently found is we never ever qualified who we voted in. In 1918, or actually go back to 1985. So firstly, I want to talk about the people behind me. I want to talk briefly about challenging councils, and then I'm going to open the floor and you can fire questions and we're going to answer them. Okay? There's a lot of frustration. Today's a good day to vent some of it. Today's a good day to find out about some of it. And some things I'm going to clarify that these 5 speakers have spoken about. Our young man had to go home, he's got a young family, so he apologises. But what I do want you to think long and hard is that the people behind me are your change. Don't come to the next election and vote for the same clowns you got, because you're going to have the same problem. And I'm going to deal with some figures and some facts. And then you'll understand the problem. But each one of these persons here have been in business. I want you to tell me how many people in council, as a councillor right now, have been in a business to know what the hell they're talking about. Dead right, none. So first and foremost, the team here will be travelling around running meetings from time to time. They will have their own Facebook page that you guys can talk on. If you're not sure on some of the things and you're not finding some of the stuff you need to, you can contact me, and the girls will give you my address, my email, my cell phone, whatever you like. I run a web page, I run a Facebook page with up to 13,000 on it. I have over 100,000 followers. I have over 200 team members around New Zealand, and I also have a Telegram page to educate the people. We also run a Telegram page for teach councillors how to be a councillor. All these people behind us are somewhat naive as to how a council operates. We've set up a training program for them. We've set up a training program for the councillors that have been abused. And I can tell you some councillors get absolutely abused for sticking up for you, the ratepayer. I don't really want to get into that because we've got newbies behind me, but when I'm dealing with the hierarchy of the councillors, they're first to tell you, and they're the first to come on board to actually upskill and to retrain the ones that have been abused. So that's part and parcel of it. So the team that are behind you are the team that you need to follow, rather than follow someone that's been here for 40 years, someone that's been here for 20 years, someone that's been here for 30 years, because ask yourself, what have they done in the time they've been on that's been good for you? And the answer is to become dictators. Are they working for you? Well, that's not democracy, is it? A dictator. They're not listening to you. I get mayors on stage, I get CEOs on stage, I get councillors on stage, I don't care. I get Nick Smith on stage. And when I tore him to shreds, he turned around next morning on the radio and said, Mark Quinn said to Michael Law, he turned around to Michael Law on the radio at 9 o'clock in the morning and said, Mark Quinn said, pick up your rifles and shotguns and start shooting the councillors and politicians. How did that come about? I said, all mayors all CEOs are WEF trained. And he stood up and called me a lion, F and B and C, a few other words, to get up on stage. And he got up, and I went over to the wee guy over here who's a friend of the Deputy Mayor's, and I said to him, give me a photo. I've got it here in my wallet if anyone wants to see it. And when he finished talking, I said, are you finished? So I took the microphone off him, because he called me every name, went on. And I said, who's this, Nick? Nick says, that's my pride and joy, that's my Deputy Mayor. And I went, enlarged the photo, and I said, Nick, what's that? And he said, I don't know, I've never seen it. I said, you're a lying bullshit artist, that's a WEF badge, and your Deputy Mayor is WEF trained, and you're sitting here calling me a liar. Sit down and shut up, or get out. And the whole crowd ridiculed him, and he left. Upslop the next morning was my law. Anyway, so a little bit about what these people have been speaking tonight, and it concerns me. New Zealand wide, it's no different. So I was first made aware of Local Water's Done Well in January this year with a guy by the name of Andrew Bider, whom is our councillor in Hamilton. He's an architect. He's been in council for many years. He puts in an architectural design building, and he has 25 town planners asking him questions. It takes him 6 months to get an architecturally designed plan through council, because 25 people are not qualified and have to ask questions to understand what he's done. The person that hires Andrew is the person that pays the bill. Not only in rates, but in the 6 months it takes Andrew to answer the questions. In New Plymouth, you have 611 staff. Okay, for me, you need about 280. You have a large chunk of your staff who outsource their work. So why are we in need of that? When you get the right people in these things, I'm going to address takeover the council. Ask me, I'll show you how to take over the council. Or I'll show you how to control the council. So at the end of the day, what we're having, what I'm finding around New Zealand is that council, or not so much the council, I'll take you back to basics. WEF own the government. Take it or leave it, I don't care. It's a fact. You'll even see Luxon drive around, flying around in a helicopter with WEF on it. So don't tell me we're not WEF trained. Don't go any further than that. Started with Helen Clark, went through Jacinda, Hipkey, and now you're international. So I don't care about politics, I don't do them. But at the end of the day, what I do care is about principle, integrity, honesty, and openness. My background, just to digress for a wee bit, is troubleshooting New Zealand for 40 years. I was Wiley's hatchet man in the 80s. I turned around in the 1984, one of 5 people that signed the first countdown. I'm one of 2 people that signed the first pack and save. And since then, I put numerous CEOs, bank managers, employment agencies, general managers in jail, fired them, or bankrupt their companies. People hire me to troubleshoot. So I'm going to talk straight shit. I'm not interested in grey matter. I'm not interested in politics. I'm not interested in emotion. I'm here to deal with facts. New Plymouth has a rateable income of $141 million. Only if everyone paid the rates. We have a wage bill, excluding the CEO, excluding the Mayor, of $60 million. Okay, hang on to this. Now, if you run a business, you will know wages are approximately 40% of your costs. So if 60 million is 40%, what's 100 million? 150. Get that? We only bring in 140. So now stop and think. Where is your dollar of rates going? In the council. It costs you $1.10 to pay the wage bill per dollar. There is no money from rates to pay the bills, to pay the maintenance, to pay progress, to pay the loans or the debt. There is no money whatsoever. This is New Zealand wide. There are places worse than here. 43% of our wages, your wages, your 43 cents a dollar goes to wages. And 60 cents goes to managing the council. Other parts of New Zealand, 69 cents in the dollar goes to wages. And they're around $1.40 per dollar of rates coming in before they borrow money. So you're not alone, you're not one off, but you need to understand some basic facts here. You guys need to change the system. No one else can do that. You need to get the young people on board, you need to get the old farts on board that don't have a computer, that don't have a cell phone. They all have to come out of the woodwork. As the team have already said tonight, up to 46% voted. New Zealand-wide, traditionally it's 36. You're very lucky to have that many out here. But my problem is that the bulk of those councils have been in too long. They haven't got the balls, pardon my manners ladies, they haven't got the balls to stand up and say no. They haven't got the balls to stand up and say, we need to do due diligence. Around New Zealand, the procedure is simply, WEF own the National Party, the government. The government in 1989 started setting up a system called local government, which you all have heard. Local government came into action in 2002. It's called local government because it's a government division that's local. It's not a corporate council. It's not a borough council. It's a government-owned identity, just like the health board, just like the education board. We're not aware of this. We've been too complacent, running around having the barbecue, living the life of Riley, driving the boat, running the tractor around the farm. Who cares? Well, you're here now because you do. But we should have done this in 1989. In 1989, the government reduced councils from 120 to 78. We never thought much about it. She's good, seems all right. What happened? Control. We didn't get it. We didn't look over our shoulders. We trusted those nice people we put into the council. But at the end of the day, what transpired was the government knew that these were weak. They weren't managers, they weren't business people, they were just people that are in clipping the ticket, opening up the tennis court, painting the bowls green or whatever they had to do. That was the role that we had back then. But having come from a corporate business, I'm sitting here looking at it and saying, in 1989 was the last time we were a borough council. Up till 1989, the 200 years previous, Granddad put in the sewer, Great-granddad put in the water, they built the library, they built the town hall, they did the buildings, and it was all set up so we didn't have to do much, but manage it, and we didn't manage it. What's happened now in 1989, they reduced the councils, we don't think much about it. We turn around then, and next minute we know in 2002 they create local government. Hello, it's a government. What happened to Borough Council? Borough Council, Granddad ran, you ran. Some that worked in the plumbing, some worked in drain lanes, some worked electrical, some fixed street lights, some did the rubbish bin, some did the lawn mowing. All gone today. You don't do any of those. We contracted out. But we still charge you for the person at the desk. So, 2002, 2011 was really where we got mugged. We got mugged in 2011 because the government come out, pulled the wool over our eyes and turned around and said, we will give you cheap loans, 10 years, interest free at 3%. Go and do what you like with it. Now, if I came to you and said you could have a cheap loan at 10 years, interest only at 3%, here's the money, what are you going to do? Say no thanks? They're human beings, so are you. And they got to spending money that wasn't theirs because it was cheap. And that was the psychology of it. They destroyed politician, they destroyed the councillor, they destroyed the staff. They didn't destroy the CEO because she is WEF. They're trained. They knew what they were doing long before they got into your position as CEO. It's a game. So what transpires? 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15. A lot of the councils around New Zealand had taken out loans back then. 10 years later, the loan has matured. Hello? Yeah, no, we don't have the money this year, we'll roll it over. 2025, most councils in New Zealand have rolled over 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, and 2015 into 2025-26. When you want to know what happened to your money, first and foremost, there is none because you paid it to them in wages. And I've got a few figures here. I know they've said some, but I actually think it's pertinent that you actually get a hang of this. So, as we know, the CEO is on 392,995. We know that the Mayor is on 160,727. Now, these people are going to work for you for around $50,000. There are 661 staff. Is that right? 611 staff in the council. Not one of them is under 60,000. The councillors who own the council, who should be running the council, are paid less than a person in the office. So let's give you some figures because you need to understand how gullible we've been and how we've been taken over and manipulated in the top 2 inches. So we know that the CEO's on 392. We have 6 people between 200 and 319,000. Remembering these people are in the office. You get that? They're in the office. We have 13 people between 160 and 199,000. Who in this room is earning that money? These people pass the contract out to a contractor. All right? They're not even doing bugger all. We have 18 people between 140 and 199. We have 62 people between 120 and 139. We have 114 people over 100,000 and up to 119. We have 154 people between 80 and 99,000. We have 361 people between 60 and 79,000. And we have 149 people over 60,000. No one in the council is worth that. In the Borough Council, we were lucky to have a jester. What would we call them those days? The old jester? Hear ye, roll it out. Come on, what's his name? Hello, you're awake. Good stuff. So we had a town crier, and they were paid like $20,000 back in the 80s. So how come we've got to 300,000 now? So we've gone from a borough council to a government-owned council. And it took over when they introduced the CEO under the LG and the LGA Act. Under the LGFA, you people need to understand the only person liable for all this is the CEO. It's law. It's the law written by the government. When you people think your house is up for grabs, no. Your house is not up for grabs. They can't use your house for grabs. They intimidate you with that to suppress you, to slow your head down, to leave you stressed and panicked. The fact of the matter is simple. They've spent every penny in the office. They now sit down and say, what do we have to spend our money on this year? We've got a loan, as the team have said. We've got maintenance. We've got new materials to do, whether it's a cycleway or whatever. But at the end of the day, every single one of those pennies is borrowed. Every single cent, because we've spent it in the office and we're still short. So the CEO was put in power by the government, under local government funding. The role, the job description of that person, CEO, was to manage the office. Okay? Was not there to control the council. Because we are not fit for purpose councillors currently, they run it. They run it because we don't stand up. They run it because they'll dictate from the government. They'll run it because the government says. Now here's the kicker. New Zealand is a deed. It's like the Sahara Desert. It's like the desert in Australia. You can roam around there as much as you like. There are no fees. That is a deed. New Zealand is a deed. What transpires is we can live here free. I'm not going to get into this too much. I'm just going to give you the basics. We can live here free. When people started coming to New Zealand, someone stood up and said, hang on, we need to be able to control these people. So they started with a lot and DP number, because deed cannot be used for monetary gain. When the crowd came in and someone saw a need to control them, they had no money and no assets. They had to create something to borrow money with. That's where your lot and DP number came from. Just for your information, it's a fictitious document. It's a fraudulent document, because you cannot use a deed and monetary gain, so they create a lot and DP number. You get that? Yes? No? Maybe? Okay. If you don't understand it, tell me. You ask me questions as I go. Don't be frightened. I'll answer them. Or I'll answer them later. I don't care. It's up to you. But I'm open for you to answer questions. So, now we have a situation where we have New Zealand as land is free to walk on. We have a government that needed to take control, created fictitious fraudulent document. Now, anyone that has any legal profession, and I have a degree in law, or a few papers in law, I have a Bachelor of Commerce, which does commercial law, contract law. At the end of the day, a fraudulent document was created, and everything's been done since it's fraud. Fraud on fraud on fraud. The council is that far in, the government's that far in, they have to control you now. So we've gone from democracy to control. Because if you knew the real truth, you would be out there doing something more than sitting on your bum right here now.
That's right.
That's the way it is. So now we're in a situation where you have to understand that the mayor and the 6 people behind me, one's not here, he has to go home to his young kids, they are your future. They are the people that are not programmed by the CEO. Sir?
You've got one question on that, maybe I'm feeling a bit slow, but basically what you're saying, the CEO, he's basically a government member, you'd say?
The CEO is employed by the government to manage the office.
So how many people know that?
Very few.
Tell me, thanks for that. So basically,
Excuse me, I'll answer any question, but one at a time, please.
yeah, so they've answered my question. I did not know that. I thought they were elected by the mayor is like he's like the governor, like the mayor. He employs him. You got the CEO basically comes back to the mayor. So basically, he's dictating to the mayor. Thank you.
Okay, hang on. So we'll just clarify that. WEF own the government. The government owns local government. Local government tell the CEO what has to happen. The CEO goes into these high-paid fandangles here, tells them what to write up, tells them what contract to do, tells them what money to borrow.
Yeah.
In the office do that, it comes back to the Thursday meeting, and on the Thursday meeting, the CEO, the mayor, or whoever's running the meeting on the day, will bring forward all these motions. Now, right around New Zealand, most of these documents go to your house as a councillor on a Tuesday. On a Thursday, as many as 70 to 700 plans are put forward. Have you read them? No. I'm sick and tired of getting councillors up here and saying, have you read that? No, I haven't. Why did you say yes? Because we're under pressure, we've got to get through it. Why did you not say no? Why did you not say, I need time to do due diligence? Why did you not say, I'm not interested in signing that, I object, please put down in the minutes of the meeting that I object? And he said, why would I do that? And I said, because when we take the council out for fraud, your name's clear. And you're signalling to the people in the room, we're standing up. Slowly, they tickle over. In Tokoroa, we started with 2 ladies standing up saying no. Today, we have 4. People are starting to realise that morals and principles were what we were brought up with, and we've forgotten them.
Have you actually made this known to the media, that this current system here in the council? The public should
I have written many papers around New Zealand. I have a Facebook page with up to 13,000 followers. I see approximately 100,000 people a year. So yes, but you're all here. What are you going to do when you go home? Have a cup of tea, go to bed, get up in the morning, change your nappies, I bet you. Who the heck is going to sponsor these people? Who the heck is going to support them? Who the heck is going to stand up and say, if you need anything, give me a hand, I'm here. Which one of you is going to do that? 1, 2, 3. How many play basketball? You come here, you listen to these people, you go home and you dribble. Okay? These people need a team behind them. I'll give you an example. In Hamilton, in Caddy, where I've set up teams, and Auckland, I've got 12 teams going in Auckland. What we have there is, in this case, 6 people behind us. We have as many people behind and backing each one. We have researchers, we have accountants, we have lawyers, and we have just general people. What do you need? Your problem is you sit here, you go home and say that guy's a wanker. But these people get abused. We had one guy, what is his name please?
I can't remember.
Brendan
Mills.
Brendan Mills. Does it? You want to see what he's writing to these people now? It ain't nice. And we haven't even started getting into politics. I travel New Zealand and I have to mentor people that are abused by outside people or by council. The people in the council who have no right, they are damn wage earners, paid more than these people, and they think they have rights. What I want to see here is you people have come here, thank you very much. I know you're frustrated, I know you want answers, we're going to have question time, you can answer. But at the end of the day, I don't want it to finish there. I want you to turn around and support these people. I want you to find out who they are, what they are, get their phone numbers, get on their pages, whatever the Facebook page is, and they both said they've got Facebook pages. The team here, the 3 leaders that started this, they have a Facebook page, or they're developing a Facebook page. You need to be on there and support them. When they start getting through tough times on your behalf, don't forget that. They're there for you, doing your job. You need to support them. So, first and foremost, we dealt with the fact that the council spends $142 million in the council, and we only earn 140. That's if everyone paid. Another point that I want to titillate a wee bit is they've covered pretty well, local water's done well. But I've been on this with councillors since January. So let me tell you what I know, what I've been told by councillors that are on our side. In council, as Deb said, we have that sheet of paper where you have your rates page. On the back, you have approximately, I'm not going to get into exact figures because then you'll know what Deb's is bringing in and it's none of your bloody business. Approximately $1,400 is paid to the water fund. That's the water charges. Okay? That's approximately 30% of rates. Have a look when you go home. Now, we are setting up local water's done well. This is a scam, in my opinion. It's a con. We should be dealing with the sewer, not the water. Water, no one's ever died from water, only when man made a mistake and created hysteria in coal mine because they didn't clean the filters out and all that sort of stuff. But no one's ever died from the water. So why are we spending billions of dollars over the last 100 years and now we're going to spend over $160 billion setting it up? So we're going to start up this local water's done well over here. From this fund here, we are bringing across your $1,400 times the number of ratepayers in the area, and that number of ratepayers is 37,300 ratepayers times $1,400. So it's going over here, local water's done well. Also going across is all the debt that's attributed to it. The figure at this point in time is unknown, but we're going to find out what it is, because you're going to find out how much debt local water's done well has before it starts. So this debt's going over, the fees are going over, and we're going to have to borrow, according to the mayor in Westport, on YouTube, so it's no dribble, we're going to borrow $160 billion to set it up. New Zealand wide. Okay? So, what are we saying here? Whether you like it or not, you're going to have 2 sets of rates. Over here, the debt has gone across and the administration fees have gone across. We know that the administration fees, $1,400, are 30%. So are you getting a rate reduction of 30%? You're getting a rate rise of 9.9. Why? Why? You're going to vote those clowns back in if I don't tell you this, if these people don't get up and wind you up. You cannot vote the people that aren't for you. People that are going to create 2 sets of rates. Local water's done well, CCO. It's going to have a horrendous debt in it. And I'll show you something from what's been pointed out by, I'll use Andrew Bider because that man is a man after my own heart. He's black and white. You'll see this figure. It's in the long-term plan. Right. When we deal with councillors that are for the people, they screw this up. So what is it? Down the bottom, and you probably can't see it unless you have binoculars, is the interest rate. Wee blue line. The green line is the rates coming in. The red line. Okay? And the red line is the accumulation of debt. Here's your rates, there's your debt. Now, this docket is not accurate. You can go on Challenging Council's Telegram page, go into Dunedin and see the real graph. Because all this debt here isn't showing. This debt is the accumulation of the loans that aren't factored in here. 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 5 loans plus the loan for the year. Not here. Where is it? It's already transferred across. Andrew Bider, Lee Vandervis, both on our side will tell you that. They're key figures in all this. They are top of the range, one's in Dunedin, one's in Hamilton. We will get Hamilton. We'll get several other council areas, and I'm hoping you people here will wake up, get the new people in, and as the young man said before, there's approximately 20 people going to go for council. You better do your homework. You better ask yourself, what have they done for me over the last 30 to 40 years? Other than accumulate more and more debt, $400, $600, $406, whatever it is, $604. That's all they've done, is accumulate debt. Why? Because they haven't stood up and said no. They haven't stood up and said no with due diligence. I object. Why? Because we've got the wrong people. So the CEO came in to manage the office, and the government said, slip in and start telling the mayor what to do. And away it went. And now, yes sir.
Who pays his wages?
You do? You have to pay
You said he was brought in to do the job that he's doing. I interpreted that he was being paid by the government. If he's controlled, if the government are telling him to tell the mayor, why the hell are we paying his wages?
His salary is determined independently.
Yes. But who pays it?
We pay him, but his salary, that exorbitant salary, is determined independently. We have no say whatsoever about determining the salaries of that upper echelon of management at the Plymouth District Council.
Bloody rot.
Right.
Yes.
So, we'll take that a step further in a second. What we have now is the CEO, through our naivety, through our lack of performance, through us not being proactive, has been able to take control of the council on behalf of the governor, local government. Whilst they tell you how much he's going to earn, that's a corporate company. But at the end of the day, the mayor and the bulk of the staff, so if there's 20 staff in Auckland, they need 11 councillors on board. The 11 councillors and the mayor run the council, they own it. You own the council. Your granddad built it. At the end of the day, you have to get back to owning the council. You also have to upskill the councillors to understand how borough council worked, bring it through to 2025-26 and start making the changes slowly. You're not going to do it overnight because you're going to have no end of trouble with probably parts of the government. But you'll also find that Auckland and Christchurch have walked away from local government, and 7 other councils so far. There's nothing stopping New Plymouth walking away from local government. There's nothing stopping now those people not borrowing from LGFA. LGFA offered you money at 3%, we jumped at it. 2017, we went to 5%. In 2023, we went to 7%. We have councils out there at 9% because they have borrowed that much money. They have gone from an A++ to an A minus or down to a B. So they're a high risk. All because we were offered cheap money and we jumped. But we had no idea of what it was leading to because we didn't have the analysis to see. What we need you to do is to understand that these people have a clean slate. These people understand the problem. They're all business people. The people in the council have no business sense other than to follow the CEO. And that way, they get good money. Around New Zealand, office ladies, and sit on this figure, office ladies are around 300,000. The CEO here is over 300,000. He's not far short of the Prime Minister. Prime Minister runs 5.2 million people. He's on 4 million. These guys are 370. What's the population of New Plymouth? 30,000. 80? What's he running? 1/6 of New Zealand's population, and he's paid almost the same as a Prime Minister. You have to understand these problems. If you can understand them, then people that are behind us and the other newbies that come on board and the relevant councillors that work for the people, they're the ones you have to look long and hard at, and the rest you throw in the rubbish bin. Otherwise, you're going to be in square one that you're in now. So some of the other things we need to look at is the contractors. Coming to look at the codes. Do you know in parts of New Zealand, homes are the single biggest cost to the council? Okay. How does this happen? We've already touched, and the ladies have already touched, and the men have already touched. The orders come down from WEF, council, local council, CEO, into the office, out it comes. We need a new logo, for example. Cycle lane, whatever you like, doesn't matter what it is, it's the principle I'm after. What happens? Go and get a price to do the job. Why are we not doing it? Because we used to. But in those days, we would have 50, 75 staff. Today, we've got 600. When I look at Hamilton, just to give you an idea with that architect, he has 25 town painters. Not one of them is qualified. So what do we need? Why don't we hire one person that has a degree and pay him real money so that he's comparable to the street? So now that the CEO owns the council, the government has moved us away from a borough council, from a government-owned council, to a corporate company. I run corporate companies for 40 years, troubleshooted them, sacked them, closed them, or built them up. So let me tell you what happens in a corporate company. Your council is a corporate company. We are selling off the assets. Does that sound familiar? Corporate company doesn't have assets. What it does is pay its staff well. In the 80s, I nearly 200,000 a year for my brain. 2010, I can name my own price. You don't need to know what that is. That's a corporate company. You use the top 2 inches. I will bring in people that I know I can trust to do what I tell them to do. Sound familiar already? When I meet the different council staff around New Zealand, I ask them, do you not have a conscience? Yes. Then what the hell are you doing? I get paid to do my job. Where is your conscience? It's the money. They're on 200,000. They care about you. They care about their kids. Have they thought about their grandkids? I do this, I'm 70. I do this for my grandkids. Because if we let this go much more, they won't be able to afford a house because the rates are about 6 to 8 times higher than the mortgage. In fact, mortgages won't be worth anything because let's tell you, your house, when you have to walk away from it, is worth nothing because no one can afford the rates. So you're walking away from $1 million house because no one wants to buy it, they can't afford the rates. How's my grandkids going to work on this? So when my kids say, Dad, can I have a loan? I say, no. You mean old B? And I go, no, I'm spending your money now fighting for you so that you can live. Because right now, the way things are going, you have maximum 10 years. The mayor in Central Otago, where I come from, says, if you think rates are hard now, you will not be here in 2 years. In writing. Stop and think about your normal rates, and the debt's gone over, but the debt's still there as well. Double dipping, we call that. We call that fraud. We've left all the debt. It just Cinder said they couldn't write the law out for them, just to clarify that. So now we have this situation where the same fees that are in the council are also in local. Water's done well. I call that fraud, I call that insolvency, you name it. They can't pay their bills, they keep adding things in. I've also instruct people to get a forensic audit. An audit is a document that gives you a snapshot of today. A forensic audit gives you lock, stock and barrel. So when councillors want to sit here and argue with me that their audit and their long-term plan is accurate, I get them up. The first question I ask them is, what is a special project vehicle? I have never ever in 2.5 years of travelling the road found a councillor or a mayor that knows what an SPV is. An SPV is a special project vehicle. What does that mean? You will remember driving around New Plymouth, a trucking company called Opus. Opus, O-P-U-S, orange, white U. Okay? Do you know who brought that out? Have a go. Have a go. Who owns it now? Hell no. That. No. Klaus Schwab. Okay? Over here at an SPV, we have 3 companies that I know of that put their accounts into that SPV. They are WSP, Venetia, V-E-N-T-I-A. It's a white U with lime green writing. And we have Alliance. All owned by Vanguard, BlackRock, Klaus Schwab. No mayor and no councillor knows how much is in that fund. They have never ever heard of it before. Don't ever tell me that a long-term plan or a budget or an audit is accurate. It's not until you do a forensic audit, which you people need to see and ask for, that you'll get the truth as to how much debt you really got. And I'll give you an example. Tapanui, they list their debt. June last year, I was called down there for the public meeting in the main street. And the mayor turned around and said, this year you're doing 14.4%. I said to the mayor, you need to resign today under fiduciary duty. And he said, boy, I don't know who you are, you can bugger off. Unquote. And I said, today is not your day. Today you need to leave. And I turned around to the street, 150, 200 people, whatever was there, and said, do you want to know the truth? Hell yeah. I said, this mayor, I was telling you it's 14%. He's borrowed $600 million to upgrade water. At 5%, that's $600 million is $30 million interest per annum. There's 11,000 ratepayers. It's $2,727 increase. This mayor is not telling you the truth. You can go right through New Zealand and find out. This is why you need to change the system. It is that rotten that who's in there can't beat it. It can be beaten when you find the right mayor and the bulk of the staff to turn around and say no, to turn around and tell the CEO to shut up, go back in the office and clean out the riffraff and all those rogue staff that are on 250, 300,000 down to 120. And anyone under 60,000 can stay or up training. That's your role.
How can you select a good mayor then?
Listen, ask questions. Right.
You get a little booklet, which you normally get. There might be, say, 3 or 4 women selecting their name for the mayor. Most of them don't buck at all, so we're all gullible. We tip for one, and they got basically no experience. So we're all gullible by selecting basically a dumb mayor.
How long has Mr. Holden been there now, though?
Yeah, so I won't mention what I think of him, but
But he's still getting voted in repeatedly.
So what you must do then is what you're saying is you have the nomination form. Straight away you've got an element of people that have been in there for X amount of time. Have they done any good? No, well, who is left?
sometimes make a rule.
Well, then odds of finding the right person get lower, aren't they?
If they're not selected though, there's no other names to select.
Hang on, we're talking about October, we're not talking about history. You learn from history and you create the new in October. This is your chance. I'm going to tell you this is your chance for a reason. A corporate company does not hold elections. New Plymouth District Council is a corporate company. When you go in and you get the new mayor and you get the right staff behind us, you then have a clean slate to actually take control back. You leave the LG, so you're limiting the government control. You're no longer looking at LGFA because the interest rates are too high. You're reducing the wages. And now you're starting to look at going back to what's reasonable. Now, take that along with it. It's not going to happen overnight, but you need to understand now the road forward. And the road forward is these people need to be in approximately 6 years. Because now we need to walk away from the government-controlled scenario, and you already see Auckland and Christchurch has done that along with 7 other councils, and now at the end of the day, what they are doing is slowly taking back control. When that happens, it's somewhere along the line, as I explained to most councillors, to most areas in New Zealand, 78 councils, what's happening here? A corporate company plays with your money. We've got no money. We establish how much we need. We lift the rates to meet that amount of money. You understand that? Okay. When companies offshore lend us that money, they're laughing. They're laughing because they lent you 60 million, it's 9%. They're going to lend it to a gold mining company, to a company pulling up uranium, to a company building weapons, to a company creating nuclear weapons at 20%. So in a bank, we have fractional banking. This is how a corporate company works. You are a corporate company. We are going to borrow $60 million this year, according to that bit of paper. I don't believe it, but anyway, we'll use that figure. $60 million is going to turn around and be reinvested 10 times by the lender. Go back 5 years ago, John Key was fined $5 million for lowering the equity level of the ANZ Bank. When you borrow $1 million, they'll pay $200,000, just quickly. John Key then has $1 million. So he can lend that out 10 times, which he did do. The equity level is 2%. You had 200,000 over your million, we're now 10 million, 200,000, 2%. He got fined because the law says it must be 15. That's called fractional banking. Exactly the same happens with us in our rates. The money offshore is being reinvested. The money lent to us is being reinvested on paper to other companies. Okay? So what happens now when you guys, with your mayor and your staff behind us and the other ones, take back the council, you start going backwards. As you go backwards, you'll get to a stage where you people will be informed by these people or someone else to pay your rates into that bank account. Don't pay them into there anymore. It's a corporate company. This is the People's Council, whatever it's called. Now, the interesting thing is most of you will probably be wondering what happens here. A corporate company has since 2011 been using ratepayers' borrowings and investing out 10, 20, 30 times over. It has made trillions. I know from my own experience that sometimes we walk away from the debt. Where these companies have made $1 trillion or 100 billion or 900 billion, whatever. What is $60 million? It's not worth the accountant working for an hour and the lawyer working for an hour because they just earn so many $1 million a second. Some corporate companies that have lent the money to your corporate council will walk away. They've made their money. And some will not. What are they going to do here? The bottom line is they are going after the signatory and the CEO. Because they can't come after you because you haven't got a contract. It's not your mortgage. Government wants to tell you it is, but maximum law is very clear. He who signs pays. Did you pay? No. Are you going to pay? No. Are you liable? No. You just teased into believing you are. The bottom line is, if you come to buy a car off me and I sell it to one of the ladies behind me, Debbie for example, if I sell it, give it to Debbie, and Debbie doesn't pay the mortgage, who's the car owner coming after? Ain't Debbie, because they don't know who she is, they're coming after me, secretary. When the council borrows money and they can't pay, you are not liable because you didn't sign nothing. The law clearly says he who signs pay. So for the last 20, 30 years, all those loans have 100 different people on them. The other ones are liable. Those are the ones that are going to get cleaned out. We had an arrogant lady in one of the councils turn around and was boasting about it. We put a sign on her lawn. WF mortgagee sale. She was that arrogant, we took her down. The mayor in Balclutha that turned around and said we're borrowing 600 million and tried to deny it, and we were able to show the documentation. We then undermined him. We turned around and we started asking him, how's he going to pay me $30 million? Well, he was an arrogant son of a gun and he could hold his head up. So we took a little bit of a tack difference. We started asking his wife. He wants to play with us. We're in the big boys game here, we'll play with his wife. So we asked the wife at the supermarket, how does she feel about losing all her assets? She, what do you mean? Well, your husband's got a 600 million loan, it's 30 million a year interest. How are you going to go paying that? She left the trolley in the supermarket, true as I'm standing here, walked out the door. The mayor resigned within 2 weeks for health reasons. This is where you have to understand, you have to stand up and have something between your legs. I'll give you another example because you need to understand this is where you're going to be standing. In Gisborne, Helen Hunt rang me up, when can I see it? Came up to see it. And she turned around and said, we've got a letter from a mayor, and it says that we're smashing cars, police cars, damaging windows, all that sort of thing. It's in the newspaper. Gave me the clipping. She said, what do I do? She said, that's pretty good. I said, what happens? She said, well, we stand out every Wednesday, we run around with our banner, we might be talking about Three Waters, we might be talking about fluoride or whatever rabbit hole there is to run down. And so 40 of us go around waving this. I said, yep. Well, we don't do any damage. And I said, okay. So go to the police station, ask for the sergeant, and ask him to put in writing whether we damage the cars or whether we don't. And he came back, we don't. We then went to the newspaper and created that the mayor is creating mischief and defamation. And the mayor had a snide comment, but didn't apologise. Then instructed the 40 people that go around waving the banner, they're going to do a $5 million personal grievance against the mayor for defamation, abuse, and fictitious comments. And each one of the 40 got the other 39 people to sign it. So all 40 people had 40 signatories. It amounted to $200 million. It's in court against the mayor. You get what you're doing? She starts it, you finish it. You mirror image what she's doing, what he's doing, and you will find the answer. Do that business for 40 years. At the end of the day, I think I've said enough. I haven't seen anyone asleep yet, so it's all right. But I'm going to throw the floor open. You can ask any question you like, but it's got to be with the council. I'm not interested in politics. I don't have time for politics. This is a full-time job. I spend 8 months, 9 months a year in the North Island. I spend 3 to 4 months a year in the South Island. This is my career right now. It is unpaid, it's purely voluntary. I use my kids' things. We have a koha container down there. The ladies paid over $1,000 to bring me up to give them training and to speak publicly on 3-4 occasions, to do a couple of one-on-ones outside of that. They put their money in their pocket to bring me up here. I'd like you to show the ladies some form of appreciation by putting it in there. In the meantime, ask away. Sir.
Kevin, the council owns quite a few assets.
No.
You.
You own them.
Okay. We own property.
Yeah.
The large property assets, some of which are not used by anyone other than a dairy farm, for example. Why can that land not or assets be put toward our debt?
You cannot sell assets if you have to borrow money.
Yeah, I understand that.
So why would you sell an asset? Why would you not redevelop it?
So those assets that we already have are already committed to debt that we have.
I understand that. I've been in business 40 years playing with these figures. At the end of the day, I respect that there's 40 million here and there's 40 million there in debt. And why don't we sell that and pay that? What are your kids going to use as collateral?
You get bigger interest on one side.
No, not at the rate.
They said they'll drop.
Yeah, so what happened, I'll just give you a bit of background. We have that PIF fund, you're aware of that? Yep. So at the moment, we get a dividend off that around about 10 million a year. And if you look on your rates invoice at the bottom of the page, it will show you each quarter how much of your rates you're getting because of that PIF fund. Now, we are 406 million in the red.
And you're getting a 10.
And it's going up more and more. But at the moment, the overall value of the PIF investment is less than the $406 million we are in the red. So, as you suggest, every time we now try and borrow, because our collateral our mobile collateral is less than our debt, our interest rates go up. That's the situation we're in, and we're continuing to borrow. So all we can do collectively, as we've suggested throughout, is put a halt. Now, we need to get in there and we need to see the contracts. We need to look at the exit clause where we can. If we have to pay to get out of some of the nonsense like the walkway extension, the Bublets Sports Hub, for example, we need to look at the details of the contract, and where there's an exit clause, we may be better off in the immediate to short term to pay the exit clause, get out of the contract, as opposed to being 55 million and increasing the likes of the sports hub. That's just an example. And like I said, we cannot do that until we get there and see the details of the contracts. That's the situation we're in.
So the other point of that is that collateral that you want to sell has a capital gain every year. So you can't negate that factor either. If you haven't got the money to pay the bills, then you've got to create the income. You can't go selling your income, because that's not going to leave you well for the next 10, 15 years. So you hold on to your assets, you rebuild them. As we're saying, the art gallery there's a mess. There's a lot of areas around here that are a mess. But Granddad and my great-granddad, they built council houses. They built forestry blocks that they sold every year to keep the rates down. We don't do that anymore. Corporate companies don't do that. We have to go back to doing it. And at some stage along there, when you get your head around all this, you start accumulating assets to have an income, you won't have to pay rates of the significant value that you are now. Okay? Any more questions? Ask away, folks. Yes, ma'am.
I might have missed the vote, but so if we could take control of our council again from the government, does that mean we can get rid of that CEO?
Yes, the mayor and the bulk of the councillors can instruct the CEO what she must do, and the first thing you're going to do is control council wages and council staff. And you're going to reduce that 142 million down to about 60 or 70, which gives you $160 million to pay back your loan principal. The CEO is purely a figurehead council. So if you go into a company, you'll go and see the office manager. That is your CEO. The mayor and the council have a vote of no confidence. They can sack the CEO and they can vote in a new one. If you're outside local government funding, there's not very much they can do, because the people have spoken. The government's not going to come into, after this election and certain councils are taking control, they're not going to come in and mandate a whole lot because the people have spoken. It's too big for them to actually try and dictate to. At that stage, they've lost control. Questions?
And while you're pondering, I'll give you a little wee task. So when you get home, go and Google, you know Mr. Holden was our mayor? Yes. Google Mr. Holden's place on local government New Zealand. He is on the local body executive of local government New Zealand. So again, we have given the undertaking, we can't do anything about it, but that is one thing we're looking at. If we get over the line, is to bail us out of local government New Zealand. That is something we've discussed with some of the mayoral kingdoms, but that is a thing we have discussed. That is my prerogative and some of our others. Get out of that organisation. Now, as Mark has mentioned, local government New Zealand, so there is the local government funding agency. That is where local government are required to borrow through. Now, Auckland's bailed out, just correct me if I get it wrong, Mark. Auckland's bailed out, Christchurch's bailed out, and a couple other councils bailed out. Yep. So they can now borrow money independent of the local government funding agency. They're not bound to go through LGFA. And that's where we've been hamstrung in the past.
Local government funding authority state that you must borrow money through the local government at New Zealand dollars. Auckland wrote its own law, and because they left LG, LGF funds. And they said, we will borrow money where we see fit at the best interest rate. They this year borrowed $12 billion from America, $3 million from Australia, didn't have enough and borrowed another $5 billion from America. They're no longer operating in the New Zealand system. All right, you can go there if you want to, or you can change your names. Questions? Sir?
The council for Act, what connotations does the government see in being Act local? Is it?
It's not going to be any different to the people in council now that are in Te Māori Party, whatever, Labour, National, Greens. All those people are Labour members, National members, Green members. At the end of the day, it's going to be no different. The only problem is that corporate companies don't agree or accept politicians in their business because they're there to make money. The politicians are there to get it. So that's why I said earlier that corporate companies can and do not hold elections. They can delete them, they just don't hold them. If someone comes into power and starts marching them around, first thing they're going to do, put the guillotine down, kick them out. Okay.
I can speak to that. Sorry, who was it that asked the question?
The man down the back right hand side with the glasses, right here.
For your benefit of asking that question.
Sure, so it was, are you inquiring if there's any contradiction with me being ACT affiliated and standing for council?
National being part of it.
Yeah, sure, that's a great question. So, yes, I am affiliated, but I'm New Plymouth First, ACT Second. I want to make that very clear. And what it means, you know, I'm not naive. It's going to come with some suspicion. Those who are critical of government, I absolutely get that. But what it also does is it holds me accountable, right? I can't be like some other councillors in the past that have campaigned on something and then switched, you know, like you know where ACT stands. It's in the newspaper, it's on the TV every day. If I say one thing and then I do a Andrew Judd and change while I'm in and say, hey, I was wrong and you guys are all horrible, I'm going to be getting some pretty intense phone calls, you know. So what you see is what you get, and I'm held accountable to that.
And we do already have members of council who are card-carrying political party affiliates, so they just don't hold them up quite as much as Brendan's been honest about it. Damon, my
There's no
apologies.
councillor at the election, there's no councillor in New Zealand at the election next year that won't vote. So who are they going to vote for? If you're worried about ACT, you should be worried about Labour, Greens, Māori, National, because they're already in there and you're not complaining about them. I'm not for ACT and I'm not for politics. But the principle is they're already in there. Why complain about one more?
I'm not complaining, I was just
No, I agree with that. But what I'm saying is we shouldn't look at someone coming in and say, well, that's wrong because we've allowed all these others in. So, democracy, where is it? Questions?
Now, I noticed the mayors now too, like the mayor we have now, and when he got elected, was it 2 or 3 terms back, he said he was going to get rid of all those contracts dealing with power co and all that. As far as I'm concerned, a mayor, it's a full-time job. It should not be involved with any other companies. If you're a mayor, it's a full-time job. He's still getting all these wages and salaries from these other companies as well. That is wrong.
Is that a conflict of interest?
Yeah.
Have you, I had a mayor in Central Otago sat for conflict of interest. We've got a story to it, but you can do that if you really want to.
Yeah.
Talk's cheap.
Yeah.
You have to join together and sign a petition that under conflict of interest, you need that mayor to reside, or that council, or that CEO, or that person in the office. You have that right.
And he said he's going to do that, and he's still sucking on those contracts.
But it doesn't matter when it comes to election next year, you've got all these political parties, they're going to promise you the world. They've been promising it for 100 years. Mayors and CEOs are no different. It's a game. And you guys, not on the rugby field. Right. Anyone else for... You had enough?
Yeah.
Time for a sleep? Righto, thank you very much for coming.